Hi, this is my 2004 Toyota Prius, and about a week and a half ago, my wife was driving the car and had it in a parking lot, turned it on, and the dash lit up like a Christmas tree with all sorts of lights. I did some research online after she brought it home, and it appears that the hybrid battery is bad on it. So I took it to the Toyota dealership, and they did an analysis, ran diagnostics, and told me the hybrid battery was bad. I asked them to reset the codes so I could take it home and decide what I want to do. When they reset the codes, they of course came right back when I tried to start it up. So I thought I'd go ahead and just start and give you an idea of what I'm dealing with here. So as you can see, we've got problem codes all over the dash. Up here you'll see we've got the red triangle, the exclamation point, the check engine light, what I believe is actually a brake, ABS brake light, the one that's the circles with the parentheses around it with the exclamation point, and then the VSC code. And then on the multifunction display, you'll see we have in the top left corner the red box with the car on it with an exclamation point. And when that first came up, it said problem as well. So this is a classic case of the hybrid battery going bad. As you can see, got about 142,000 miles on the car. It's been driven mostly in the southeast, Atlanta, Georgia, and sat out in the sun quite a bit. And from what I understand, these batteries don't do very well in very hot weather, and they have a shorter lifespan, so around 140 to 160,000 miles. One other thing you'll notice is you'll hear the fan in the rear of the car running continuously. That's another sign of the hybrid battery failing. I ordered the hybrid battery depot remanufactured Toyota Prius battery on a Friday in the morning, and it shipped on the same day. Arrived on Tuesday in this nice case here. Handles, it's a really nice packaging material. This is the installation or dismantling manual from Toyota. That's actually an electronic version that's online at Hybrid Battery Depot. Went ahead and printed out some pages on the instructions for dismantling the back of the Toyota Prius to install the battery. So far, from what I can tell, these are the set of tools that you need to do this job. I've got 2 1/4-inch sockets with an 8mm, a 10mm, and a 12mm socket, as well as 2 small extensions. I'll revise that if I get further into the removal and dismantling and see if I need additional tools. Okay, I'm going to start by removing the tonneau cover here, setting that aside. Now I'm going to remove the lower panel here. There are 2 little knobs. Has directions on here on how to lock and unlock. Turn it counterclockwise, actually clockwise. Actually, these are already unlocked. Fold this over, remove this panel. Okay, now I'm going to remove this lower tray to expose the spare tire. And now you can actually see a portion of the hybrid battery being displayed there underneath that last panel. I'm now going to remove these side panels. This one on the right, on the passenger side, pops out and exposes the 12-volt auxiliary battery here. And this one pops out as well. I did discover that I need a regular flat blade screwdriver to remove this side pocket here. Loosen this connector. Once it's loosened, this panel comes out pretty easily. Just got a little connector here. Screws over the bolt. This rear piece here is locked down. If you grab it from the inside, it'll pop loose. I've already popped it loose, but just pop it on either side, and then it just picks up off the back like that. And you can see where it has these connectors. Okay, before you get too close into the hybrid battery, you want to make sure that you disconnect the negative terminal on the 12-volt auxiliary battery here. And you need a 10mm wrench. One of these swivel head ratcheting wrenches is nice. I tried using that though, and I was able to loosen it with that and bend around the corner, but I ended up having to fully loosen it with the other end. But once you loosen it, you'll see you have your negative terminal right here. Comes off of the post, and then just I tucked it behind the battery. And so by disconnecting the negative terminal, that's disabling any power to the car. So that takes care of the 12-volt battery. You can see how I'm removing the bottom part of the seat. I'm grabbing it from the back in the seam between the back of the seat and the bottom and pulling forward, and it pops out. And there are some joints in the front that can be released once you pull this up. Okay, after doing a little research online, I realized I just wasn't pulling hard enough on these seats to break this latch or joint loose. So I'm going to jerk up hard this time. And sure enough, it pops up. Didn't want to force it if I was doing the wrong thing. So. And just do the same thing for the other side. Okay, I'm going to pop this other joint. And sure enough, the seat comes right out. Now that I've removed the rear bottom bench seats, I need to remove the rear back seat. And there are 4 bolts. One over here, 2 in the middle, and 1 here. And they're 14mm, so you want to remove them with a 14mm ratchet. With actually a larger socket. Need a more powerful arm. Okay, it appears that these rear back seats haven't been removed before, so I took a 1/2-inch breaker bar with a 14mm socket. Let's see if this can help me break it loose. That's much better. It's either the first time they're off or it was put on with an impact wrench. Okay, and you're just going to do that for all 4 bolts, and then the rear seats will move forward. Okay, I've removed 3 of the 4 bolts that bolt the rear back seats, and I'm going to remove this last one. Really in there. There we go. Once these bolts are out, then the seats just slide out. Actually, this side, the other side just slid out. This side has a seat belt attached. So instead of removing the seat belt, pulling it all the way out, since I have enough room now, I'm just going to leave that seat forward. So for the driver's side seat, you can take it all the way out. For the passenger side larger seat, just move it forward. Okay, now that I've got the rear seats out of the way, I need to remove this cover that's on top of the battery. And you'll see on either side, we've got 2 10mm bolts that have these hold down latches on them. You can release these on both sides. one more side to do. Okay. And when you're taking all these bolts off, make sure you keep them with the components that you're removing, just so you're keeping track of where everything is. And I believe this will just pop off. Yeah. At least I've got one more in the front here. I only got two upholstery pieces here in the front. I've actually got a special upholstery tool to keep those from breaking. I'm going to go get that. I don't know if you can really see that, but there are two little tabs that are plastic, that are upholstery tabs that need to be popped out. And this is an upholstery tool, trim tool that I got at Harbor Freight. And you can pop them out pretty easily yourself, but if you use these tools, you have a better chance of not breaking them. So I'm going to use these tools to pop it out, and it just comes right out really easily. And I'm going to do that on the other side, and then this whole panel will come out. Okay, so I'm popping the other upholstery piece on this side, getting under that tab, popping it out, and now this panel should come right out. And now we have the battery exposed, but I still have the two side panels that need to be removed. Need to do that in order to really get the battery out properly and to pop the disconnect. Okay, now I need to remove both side panels, and in order to do that, there are two 10 millimeter bolts. They also have Phillips-head screws on them, but I like to try to use the bolts and the sockets where possible. It's just easier not to strip things. That's one. Oh, I'm going to need an extension for that. Okay, I added an extension to my 10 millimeter socket, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the other bolt. Okay, that's released now. There's also a third bolt, 10 millimeter down here lower, clip on it. I also noticed there's an upholstery connector on here. I'm going to go get my upholstery tool to get that. Okay, I removed that trim piece. Now this whole piece should pop loose. Notice there's a light here, so I'm assuming I'm going to have to pull on the connector. Yeah, right here. There we go. Disconnect the light. The rest of this should pop off. Oh, looks like we got one more 12 millimeter bolt. Okay, I was able to remove that side piece. There wasn't another 12 millimeter bolt. It was just I need to reach around the side and pop it out from underneath of this little piece of trim here. So we've got that whole side exposed. This is where the disconnect and all of the removal of the battery is going to occur, on this side. However, there is a vent tube on the other side, And so I believe I'm going to go ahead and remove this other side panel, and just so I have plenty of working room. Okay, now the passenger side side panel has the 1, 2 10mm bolts. It has the little trim tab there that I'm going to use that trim tool or upholstery tool for, and then that whole piece should pop out. Looks like I'll have to pull back some of this weather stripping for that to work. Okay, I've got my 10mm socket wrench with extension. I'm going to go ahead and release these. There's one. I think if I did this again, I'd probably use a longer socket extension. Oh, that's a much longer bolt. If you compare, that one's much longer. That wasn't the same on the other side. That was different. I've got my upholstery tool here. Pop that out and we'll be ready to go. Okay, this thing to release here. Oh, we got one more bolt. Okay, now this panel should just pop out. There we go. Side panel removed. Before I continue with the replacement of the hybrid battery, I thought I'd show you how I'm keeping organized for all of these interior pieces. I've kind of lined them up. You'll see that for each of these pieces, I've also placed all of the corresponding bolts with those. There's the other side piece here. Got the cargo cover over the battery at the bottom of the back seat. Trim pieces, carrier there, main cover, all the way up to the tonneau cover. So I've got everything organized in the order that I took it off. So I started at the very end down there to take it apart. To put it back together, I'm going to start on this end and work my way back. Now, one thing I'm going to do to kind of make this a little easier is once I replace the hybrid battery, I am going to reassemble everything except for all of the trim pieces in the rear seat. We get everything back together, reconnect the negative battery terminal to where everything's back together. Everything's safe, but I just haven't reassembled all the trim pieces. So what I'll do then is I'm going to start up the car and drive it around just to make sure everything is working. I don't want to put everything back together and then crank it up and realize there's a problem. So anyway, that's just something I plan on doing. You know, you need to make sure you be safe and everything is safely put back together. Just, you know, what you leave off are just the easy trim pieces. That's the last thing you do once you make sure everything's working properly.